Welcome back to the channel, Super Snails. We are going to hopefully stay on track and do an only gear section for you guys today. Um, be on the lookout. I have been given 2 new codes exclusively to my channel, and they will be floating about, so be on the lookout for those. All right. Without further ado, when you first start out, for anyone with a new account, when you first start out, you are going to have a limited supply of gear. You are going to have a limited supply of building materials to increase them. So put whatever you can wherever you can. that's going to be the top priority. You're going to see that I have a lot of gear here, and this is like much further, along in the game's future for you. But for the most part, there'll be gear that you're gonna also recognize by just coming here. Like if you look at this, is like the building materials. You may even see things like these guys right here. You may also see other weapons that are from here. The anything here in this red section, like you see how like it's got like a little red line and stuff. That means that either you can upgrade it. Like this guy right here says it's blinking, means you can upgrade it. So if I click on it and I wanted to craft it, I could. If it was gold and it had all of the little the little lines golden up, I'm ready to use it. One of the reasons, like let's say this dwarf mask is here, if you spot a weakness, snail defense 240, if that's the only thing you have available, then wear it. I give you my blessings if that's the only thing you have. But later on, you are going to work your way up to weapons that are percent based, weapons that are realm specific, and you are going to want to wear those gear over all else. So for example, if I come here, this is my current realm gear for the rift. This doesn't say the rift, but it is where you find it. And it's actually very powerful because obviously it's all of them. It takes all of them, all of the realm gear, and it puts them all into this, and then you get all these bonuses. And they only are given to you this portion right here, this little gray box or whatever, brownish, whatever box color, in exploration. So you cannot use them in, for example, in the arena. You can't come in here, do your little, your arenas and stuff, and you can't, you can wear it if that's all you have. Again, if that's all you have, but at this point, that's not it. But let's just say you have the Korea gun. If that's all you have, go get your ass in the arena and fight with it, right? Because it still gives you these stats right here, those bonuses, those hard stats. Hard meaning HP, your attack, your rush, and your defense. So if I wanted to go ahead and just talk about real quick what the realm gears look like, they look like this. So this is the rift. This is everything from here, from Barata to Hellas. Okay, so those are your realms, and your realms are found in here. So whenever you explore, you're exploring here. Whenever you guys hear anything I say about the channel that you should always be cooking, or that you should be exploring, or that you shouldn't have any downtime, and I'm talking about the realm, I mean that you should always be progressing in this section with the current gear of this section. So if you're in Korea, you should be wearing your Korea weapon. If you are in Cathy, you should be wearing your Cathy gear. If you don't have enough resources to make, for example, your Cathy weapon red tier, this is red. I consider this to be red. But you have your Korea weapon at red. You can dismantle it in the garage just like this, just like I showed you guys a few seconds ago. So I want to go ahead and dismantle this one. And for a 100 white tadpoles, you can come in here, you can dismantle this guy right here, and then put all your points into the Yamato weapon or the Cathy weapon or whatever. And if you, again, only have, like, let's say in the early stages you have only this row open, and you're in Cathy right now. So your Cathy weapon is red. You have a Yamato weapon that's red. You have a red Korea weapon. That's okay, especially if you don't have anything else that's red. Let's just say you get the Norse Chucks and they're gold, but you don't have enough resources. You don't have an Ive horse to get it to the next level. That's okay. That is okay. you can go ahead and make sure you have whatever you can and put them in there. Now, if you're wondering what the best gear looks like, if you're free to play player, meaning you don't pay for the $100 weapons, you don't get the $100. I don't think it's $100. I think it's way more than that. The key, which I don't actually know the cost of it off the top of my head. I haven't paid for it, so I don't. I would remember if I paid for something over $100 in this game. I would be like, I remember that because it cost me X. So I don't know what it is, but it's a very expensive gear. How you find that? You come here, you go to the Supreme Relics, and it's right here. So I once you meet this criteria, you get this key, and this key will give you some bonuses and stuff. And those bonuses will go to some other stuff. I honestly don't even know what that weapon pairs with, but it's there. I know people talk about the key. I don't care what it does because I'm not buying it right now. Maybe eventually, because that's just if you put a couple dollars on a daily basis, there'll be some things that you can buy like on a daily basis above this guy. It's gone right now, but there is usually like something here, like your daily pack. I buy that. Your daily pack. I actually buy it in bulk, which is like $7.99, and then that gives me the $7.99 for the bond section. I know it's not gear related, but it is related in the sense that if you put $7.99 per week in this game and you play it for a year, you've accrued a bunch of money, and one day you might even unlock that key by just doing something as simple as that. There's another thing that you can do is that you can buy these unlimited forever packs, VIP gold permanent effects, that will drop you all of these things, these goodies on a regular basis, which is what fucking game does that? What game gives you they usually give you a monthly. Sometimes they'll give you a 45 or a 90 day. I've never seen a permanent. Just saying, it's like $25. It's a one-time thing. If you play this for a year, it's paid itself off. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Like if you play Call of Duty or something like that, has Call of Duty ever given you a permanent buff? You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever played Mass Effect and Mass Effect said, "Here, I'm going to give you this permanent buff for $25." No, they wanna squeeze the money out of you. Whatever game I can think of, I've never played a game that says here. So that's something that you might think about that might help you out. How's that gear related? Because it could eventually add towards that key. And that key might help you. It might help you later on in the game, especially if you want to become a whale, right? The best gear for me, there's two forms that I play with, okay? And I'm gonna give you guys the exploration gear, which is farming. Exploration meaning it's heavily geared towards exploration and all the benefits that you get from exploring. So if I want to go ahead and explore, I want to be able to explore quickly. So I want to reduce the amount of exploration time by reducing the speed, by increasing my travel speed. If my snail can go faster, it can get to the end faster, and thus your time machine will also accrue more time, and it'll just increase the amount of output you can get. This will give you more intel, and more intel will obviously, in any realm you go to, whether it's Korea, Cathay, whether it's America, wherever, it'll just help you get there so much faster to the end. Cool. All right. Another one, the great scientist. This one for me is another one that I this is my secondary that I like to have up there. Really, really powerful. It drops. It has a 20% chance to drop time chest by two times, right? So if you drop 10, there's a 20% chance that you'll get 20. That's pretty good. Cell drops, you might land on a tile that gives you a 5, but there's a 20% chance now it gives you 10. And then imagine that going around and over and over and over and over and over again for X amount of hours, X amount of days, X amount of weeks, X amount of months. Now this thing has produced, if it hits, it's a lot of value. You get a lot coming back. So you become stronger by just building up on that. Now, when we get into the combat ones, we start looking at percent. There are weapons that will give you hard stats, like really, really, really powerful stats. For example, I don't actually I do have one right now. I think it's this one right here. So this one right here is it's a defensive weapon. It gives you attack, which is not defensive. Grandpire's cloak is what this builds out of. I can actually show you real quick because it's easy enough to just come over here. You go to the defensive section right here, and you come in here. If I want to look at this hat, and this is the Grandpire's robe. The Grandpire's robe comes from this, and it comes from this, and it comes from this, and it comes. You know, it just keeps going lower and lower and lower. But for the most part, it's this guy right here. This little cute little dress that Grandpire was wearing. I like to call myself Grandpire, not because I'm a cross-dresser, but because I'm old, and my brain sometimes brain farts. But you know, hey, for Halloween I might wear a dress. I don't care, whatever. Not that I'm gonna do that. But his robe looks pimp right here. That looks classy as hell. It looks like a very almost Dune-esque, like he might be like a male Bene Gesserit or something like that. He just needs like a hoodie or something like that, and then you know, he looks extremely regal. Not stay on target, stay focused, and then for some reason it turns into a hat, whatever. But this right here gives you per 10% HP lost, it gives you damage. It gives you 360, and then when you increase it to plus what is it? Is it plus 2? It goes to 420, which is nice, and then it obviously just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. That's why I keep it there. It's a flat value that the more you lose HP, it gives you more. It strengthens you more. So I value this weapon. You're gonna see that some people swear by like Excalibur. When you finally pull it and you finally get it, it's exciting. You get to get it. You get this weapon that gives you 540 damage at red. It's not that good. It falls off. It falls off because I mean, just look at this. All right. The stronger you get, the more this gets, because it's giving you a high percent chance or a good chance of hitting for a critical shot, and then the damage is also going up of that percentage that of your crit, right? Because as you get stronger, that crit damage will also increase, and every time you give it a +1 or whatever like that, you will then increase its value by like 2% or something like that. Whatever this number eventually gets to when it gets to 5, right? So now you're going to be hitting for a harder amount, and your crit rate will also increase, which will help you always crit or try to get more crits. These flat numbers right here, I'm not even impressed. I'm not worried about them because most of the power that you get, or you're getting them from your forms. I'm not saying that these aren't good numbers. I'm just saying that you get better numbers from your forms because they all stack. Dragon, zombie, what do you call it? Mutant, all those, right? You put all those together and they start adding up. They start growing. Where this weapon, right? You get one and it gives you 800 at +4, right? Cool. This doesn't matter as much as percent because you want numbers that increase with your strength. So this being flat is what I was trying to say, is that it will not change. But because in this game you get a lot more sources of damage from everywhere else, your relics, your mutant forms and stuff like that, boxes that you get to eat and stuff that they give you hard stats, your mushrooms, all that, etc., etc., etc. These values start helping you out. So basically anything that is in percent is always going to help. Now this right here, the ignored defense, is really good because your opponents are always going to increase in defense. So if you hit them at 14% and they get more defense, then you're cutting more defense out of the higher one. So they're hitting the higher one at a rate that you weren't going to hit if you just had flat stats. That's really good. That's just penetration. Armor penetration is always good in percent. Like if it was a flat value of 100, who cares? Because if I'm at 100,000 defense and you can cut through only 100, that's nothing. And then the next boss you go against has 200,000 HP, not HP, armor, and you're cutting down 100 of it only. Now it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't grow up. But it's like if it's 14%, now that 100 is like bam, like you're cutting into over 10% of its defense. All that damage is translated into pain, like damage, like real damage. That's why when you finally get your T7 form on your zombie, that's when you start really valuing the circuit here, because it can cut through defense. It could deal more. It's just like the Norse Chucks, and they both stack. So now your armor penetration, your armor penetration starts to stack. So let's see if it shows me some penetration here. Ignore defense 29%. That's because I have some. That's because I have some ignore defense in not just those two weapons, but there's other places and relics and stuff like that give me more. So that's almost a third of an enemy's defense that I'm ignoring. That's a lot of damage, and I can get it higher because obviously, if I wanted to swap over these guys with the engineer and the scientist, I can. Swapping them is also easy but expensive. It starts to get a little expensive. That's why you have to have an exploration loadout. Your exploration loadout when you get into the Rift is going to be the Mat Tablet. If it's before that, you can use the Cosmos. You can use Lady Liberty if you wanted to collect intel, especially if you're stuck and you can't beat somebody, but you have a lot of intel nodes to unlock. You might as well go ahead and put that on there and have an exploration setup. This is another exploration gear in percent. This gives me that damage. This also gives me percent crit damage, life steal effect in percent, which is this is what we're talking about. If you get lucky and you pull like something that gives you percentage damage or percentage reduction, right? Because if you get something that gives you crit damage reduction, you're gonna want to get that. These Norse Chucks, you're gonna get them from a turtle that pops up in this room. So you're gonna use your incense to shoot the little. It's not gonna be a little rat. It's not gonna be a cockroach. It's gonna be a turtle. It's gonna be a strong-looking turtle. It's the only time you ever see a turtle in here, and you shoot at it multiple times. And when it dies, you get a partner. He will then fight you, and whatever. All his brothers are gonna die. Then you kill the Ninja Turtles in this game. It's hilarious. And then you take the North. He gives you as one of the drops or gifts or whatever is that, and then you have to also give him incense, and then you get one of the strongest weapons in the game for free. And then you put points into it, and then you try to make sure that it gets you to where you got to go. Swapping them, like I said, it's as easy as you come into the little machine here. You do a little switch swap, right? That's your tab. And for example, like if I wanted to do the scientist, I click and select the scientist. And if I wanted to go ahead and swap it over with the circuit, I could just click on the circuit, and then it'll tell you right here. It's easy, and it only works with +1s. It won't work with like a red and a +5, because you need to have both the combination pieces to make it a +1, so that the pluses can then swap easily amongst each other. And then once you do that for 400, you swap it. And you take the other one, the engineer, and you swap it with the Norse Chucks, and you swap that, which is 800, right? Because you've already done it twice at the same rate, unless it's a +4, and then I think it's going to cost you a little less. But this is 4 times you're doing it, and then you're going to go into fight mode, right? Because now we went from exploration mode, which is my Mat Tablet, and the engineer and the scientist. The great engineer and the great scientist, and then we put them into our circuit and our Chucks. Now we're full Rambo mode. We're going into wherever we're trying to beat somebody hard, either dominate somebody or try to push past somebody. Now, if you're really close to beating somebody, don't go crazy like doing that. If it's, for example, like right now I'm stuck on Kimchi. Kimchi's got like 4 or 5 little Kimchis of her own. She's got like 5 sisters or something. They have a lot of HP, so I need to hit them hard. The only way I can hit them hard is by increasing the power of either the people that are there to help me, or increase the power of my weapons outside, my relics, mushrooms, my forms, etc., etc., etc. All these outside things, or I can swap over my gear. And if I've only beaten 2 of them, and I can beat 2 more of them with swapping over my gear, I'm still not going to do it. Because until I can get Kimchi out of the way, like I still have to beat the 5th one, for example, and then Kimchi herself, which is like a 6th one, to then get the value of it. So then there's no point in me swapping over my gear to try to get all that done. There's no point. Now, if I know that I could beat Kimchi with all these gears swapped over, then we'll do that, and then we'll push for that, and then after we're done, we go back to exploration mode, and then we wait 2 or 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, however long it takes, because they're just getting stronger. And then you get more points. You put more points into, they're called temporal drifters. So here, you put more levels into them, and they will hit harder. And that's how you would swap back and forth with your gear, so that you can push hard. And since it is kind of it is a very expensive, 1,600 white tadpoles to invest to go hard, right? You don't want to do that on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, because then you're just going to run out of white tadpoles to work on other events that come up and stuff like that. So what you want to do is you want to be patient when you get into the rift. You want to set it up when you do it like that. If you have a lot of speed ups, you can go ahead and use up a lot of speed up, level up a lot of guys, and when you're done with all your speed ups and you have like maybe 3 days left, that's when you want to go ahead and swap over all your stuff. So you have like 3 weeks of waiting, or even 4 weeks of waiting. Let's just say 4 weeks. You've waited an entire month to do a hard push. You should have like about an extra 30 days of speed ups waiting for you. So it's almost like you get 60 days of waiting 1 month. Then you swap over that at the end of that month. You swap over your strong gear, and then you hit the rift as hard as you can, and then you swap back. But it's going to cost a lot, 1,600 at this level. Because if you had Chucks at +2, or sorry, your engineer and your scientist at +2, and your circuit and your Chucks at +1, and your dragon or your zombie form at T7, then it's not going to cost you as much. So you might want to do it, multiple times, so you can get a little further and you can dominate, put more stuff in your museum, stuff like that. Here, this row, you eventually get it in the domain section right here, around like the 3rd one, which would be the Dragon Gods area. Once you get that, that's where you go ahead and you finally put in like your minion gear. And then when you get them into red, that's when the blasphemy eyes actually matter. That's when you actually can get 2 gold weapons and put them together, whatever whatever they require, and then they'll give you leadership. And if you plus them up higher, I think their leadership might go up. I don't know how much, maybe to 5 to 7 or something like that. Hopefully it'll be more. Hopefully, oh my god, that'd be crazy if it was even higher. So 10 leadership, so it's +5. That's really good. So it's asking here for this guy, which I don't even. Oh, this is kind of like the other thing, but I just need a Blasphemia, and I guess I don't have this. Wow, that's cool. So yeah, I don't even care too much about this section. I just don't. I don't. There's not a big priority for me with the gear for the minions. It does help you move up in the Gene Simulator for not the Gene Simulator, the Minion Simulator. So it does help you there, but you can also level up your minions and also get yourself your own progress without the weapon. Okay, there's no real big monster here that like, oh my god, if I had like the Norris Chuck equivalent of the weapon, that it would be like that. It's good because you get leadership, and now you can go into the species wars and help you out there. That's cool, and get them when you can. But it's not like, oh my god, end all be all, So hopefully what you got out of this video is when you do it, when you start early, this is like the TLDR, and I'm giving you the TLDR super late into the video, but if you're starting out and you don't have any weapons or any good weapons or great gear, right? Just put in whatever you have. No one's going to be upset with you, right? These eventually open up. You're going to need to save black tabs or have faith or whatever the requirement is, and you want to unlock those. And you kind of want to put a priority on those, but If it was like a slot for one of these to open up or a museum, I would focus on the museum. Museum, you can drop in a lot of things and they can start working for you eventually, where, like I said, like you may not even have like the greatest weapons, or let's just say you put in this one, right? And this one is it doesn't say an exploration. Let's just say this isn't even the same weapon. It's some dumb like shield, and it gives you, if you find the weakness, get 320 HP. Like, if you open up this slot and it costs you 2 million to open it up, like, you don't have to worry about like opening this slot up just to put in 320 armor or HP or whatever. Does that make sense? Like, it's not as critical as opening up a museum and putting up all these relics into that museum and gaining medals and stuff like that from the museum. So if you have a really powerful weapon, all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, I want to open that up because I have a very powerful weapon that needs a slot. I have this one that's really good, this one's really good, this one's really good, but I need to put this one right here, and I don't have that slot. Then you can focus on that slot. That's very important. That's how I would do it. And then obviously when you move on later on in life, you're going to want to focus on percent-based weapons. If you have a percent-based weapon, it's always going to be stronger than a flat rate weapon. It's not going to grow. The bosses get stronger. The enemies get stronger. The agents get stronger. Everything just gets harder. So it's like, eventually I'm going to fight him, and he's got 170,000 defense. If I can cut a third of that, now we're talking. Now we're reducing a lot of his defense. That's a lot of my damage that's going to stick onto him. And I want his weapon. His weapon will eventually give us will eventually enable our dragon form to be superior again. Right now, the reason the zombie form, when people say at T7, that's when your zombie form takes over, is because look at the buff: 55 HP, 55 AD, 30 and 30 rush, right? That sounds like shit. Like, whoa, 30 and 30. Let's look at the dragon form. All right, let me show you the dragon form. 50, 50, 50, 50. On paper, all 50% of these numbers are better than those two numbers, because you got 55, 55, 30, 30. You take two of those fives from the 50s and you put them down at the bottom. You got 50, 50, 35, 35. So just to have all 50s, and then 50, 50, 35, 35, or 55, whatever. The numbers are skewed to the dragon. They just are. The dragon is better, and it's even a lower form. This is T6. This is 6 versus the other one being T7. But why the hell is the dragon form not superior to the zombie form at T7? It's for two factors. So this weapon right here gives you ignored defense by 12%. By the time you're at T7, you're in the rift. When you are in the rift, you are fighting all these apostles here, and their effect, their art, faith, fame, civilization, and technology is so high that this rush right here doesn't apply. So that 50%, or let's just say your dragon form goes to 55. I don't know what the next form of dragon form, because I haven't attained it yet, and when I will, I'll post it, whatever. But that rush is not happening. This rush right here is not happening, but we do have 55%, which is stronger than the dragon's 50%, and that matters. That 55 and that 55 that go right here are much stronger than the dragon's 50-50 and lack of rush, which both of them don't have. So this being at 30 for the zombie doesn't matter, because you weren't getting it anyway. You weren't getting that rush value. But then couple that with the gear to break through someone's defense by, I think it was what, 12%? Is that where my circuit is currently right now? 12%, and I believe when I swap them over, it's like 18 or something like that. That is higher. that is taking the full benefit of the two numbers that are up here. That it's literally why that matters so much. But when you eventually get this guy, the Excalibur, whatever, So I already have 2 pieces. This is from Excalibur's father, and then eventually I will get this part, which ignores 12% defense. And what's really good is when it comes together, it's going to be ignoring a lot. It's going to be a really good PvP weapon because the only other people that have fire, water, earth, all the elemental resistances are snails. So it's going to ignore defense for all the apostles or anybody. Honestly, it says in dragon form. So as long as you're wearing the dragon form, you're going to ignore somebody's defense. So now you get the 50% value. Not so much in the realm, but if once it hits, a higher number than your then buddy over here, then the zombie, you're going to hit harder. You will also be getting the 50% on T6. You will be getting the 50% defense, which you weren't getting on the zombie form. So you're getting that bonus. So you get hit harder less. You get less harder. Yeah, that's what I meant. And then you get all these resistances and stuff like that. And this is a really good, powerful weapon. So it's really good. So those are the 2 factors that are telling you why you want to pick the zombie when you hit T7 form, because that's when you start to hit really hard, and that's when it surpasses the dragon form in order for you to make a benefit out of it. So just make sure it's all percent based. All these right here are all percent based, except for obviously the Great Magician, because it does scale in comparison to like something like this. For example, like this guy right here hits harder initially because this is 960 damage right here. 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 4 times 4 is 160. So 960, right? And then 960 plus the 300 is 1260. You're doing 1200 damage just with this weapon alone. That's pretty good against apostles. Against other snails, if they have resistances, then these, they're not gonna worry too much. They're gonna be bricked a little bit, and this is just gonna become, a 300 value weapon. And then you put more points, and then you can start kind of trying to like overthrow it and whatever. That makes sense, but it's not a great weapon to me because it's a flat value. Where the Great Magician, mathematically, by the time you get to like 90% HP, this is 9x. This 420 is 9x. It's multiplied by 9 times, and it's much stronger than the one. So, yeah, that's the only reason I have that one in there. Plus, it also gives you defense, so you can block, certain things. Now, obviously, that one's giving you all the elemental attacks, which you may not have defenses for, but it's still, this one, I think it's still better, in my opinion. And then these guys right here are obviously, they're giving you percent. 9.6% is nothing to laugh about. It's almost 10% of any attack that comes through. Okay, I think I've covered most of the stuff. I may make a part 2 if you guys have any questions, anything that I forgot. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and maybe eventually talk about the pay-to-win weapons when I get them. Because if I don't have them, I really don't have enough intel. Though I do get them from other people, but I like to feel them out. I like to know, oh my god, this is like, I'm so much stronger because of X. Because it does this and that. And wow, it cost me all of this. And like, oh, all that. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave it at that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope you guys have been paying attention because I left those 2 codes somewhere around the thing, around the video. And I also have a Patreon. I'm going to link it in the comments section if you guys want to support. There's nothing special going on in there. That's just literally a support page. If you guys want to support me financially, that's cool. And if you don't, that's fine also. Whatever. It's just there. It's available. And because I've put in a lot of work into these videos and a lot of time. And if they've given you guys any value, then that's there you go. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.